I appreciate you guys coming out today, get a chance to talk to me. Happy to be back in Eau Claire, looking at the opportunity to become the head men's basketball coach here. Got a lot of history here in Eau Claire. Had a chance to go to school, spent 4 years as a student here in Eau Claire. Got a chance to work at some of the local high schools. Also was fortunate enough to be an assistant coach here for 3 years. Basically spent half my adult life in the city of Eau Claire, and just really looking forward to the opportunity of possibly coming back here and getting a chance to lead the men's basketball program. So if any of you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer any of those at this time.
Just being in the conference now for a couple of years, what has that given you? What kind of experience has that given you?
Well, I think just getting a chance to coach in this conference as a head coach is really helped me learn a lot about this conference and what it takes to win. We had a very successful year at Superior last year, and we're very competitive all the way through, and I think that's really helped me learn not only about the players but also the coaches and some of the things that they're doing in this conference, and to try to help me prepare to be successful in this conference in the future.
How much different is it being the head man as opposed to being an assistant?
It's a huge difference. The amount of responsibility that you have as a head coach is so much more than being an assistant coach, but I enjoy it. I enjoy every bit of being a head coach and getting a chance to run my own program and make my own decisions, and I'm hoping I get a chance to do that here at Eau Claire.
Matt, talk about your years at the Division I level and what you gained from those experiences and how you might apply those both in your current position and if it comes to pass here at UWC.
Well, I was really fortunate to have opportunities to work at the University of Florida with Billy Donovan as a graduate assistant, and then after I finished up as the assistant coach here at Eau Claire, I went to the University of Arkansas and spent 3 years there with John Pelfrey, working with the Arkansas Razorbacks. And I just think from a professional standpoint, I learned a lot from those individuals. They really go about things in a professional manner. They're first-class people. They did a great job balancing their job and their family, and they went about things the right way. And a lot of the things that I learned in terms of being a head coach, I learned from Coach Donovan and Coach Pelfrey, and also some of the things that they did in terms of their system. I think Coach Donovan is a great offensive coach, and so is Coach Pelfrey, and both of those guys have ties to Rick Pitino, and I just really took a lot of the things that they did in terms of their basketball system and really try to apply it to the Division III level in the places that I've coached.
Can you talk about what really kind of your coaching philosophy is?
Yeah, I think in terms of X's and O's offensively, we really want to push the basketball in transition. We want to try to get the ball up the court as quickly as we possibly can and try to score before the defense gets set. If we are in a situation where we have to run some type of half-court offense, we like to utilize the pick and roll a lot. You see it a lot at the professional level. You see it a lot in college now, and that's something we try to utilize when we run our offense. Defensively, we like to press if we have the personnel to do so. A lot of times, coaches have this philosophy of how they want to play, but you have to have the personnel to do that. And one of the things I really take pride in is being able to adjust our style and our system to the personnel that we have, and that's something I plan on doing here if I'm fortunate enough to get the job.
Matt, having grown up in this area, and you probably remember the Blugolds program from back when it had that aura about it, what are some of those things that stick out to you about the program from back in those days that you'd like to bring back if you get the job?
Well, I think one of the biggest things is just the excitement that surrounded the program. This community is drawn towards athletics, whether it be the men's basketball program or any other athletic program here at the university. And the community, I think, is hungry to support a program that is competitive. And that's the other thing that I really remember about it is the competitiveness. We all strive to win games. We'd love to win them all, but that's obviously not going to happen. But if we can go out on a nightly basis and be extremely competitive, I think people really like to see that, and they'll be interested in supporting that type of program.
Stevens Point had its run. They had a national championship. Whitewater just had one. What would it take for another school like the UWC to get to that level? Not necessarily maybe winning national championships, but to be a high finisher in the WIAC and to be a player on the national scene.
I think number one, you got to recruit the right student athletes. And that's, as a coach, that's one of the most important things that you have to do is go out and recruit and find student athletes that can help you become competitive in this conference. Stevens Point has had a lot of success doing that. Whitewater obviously found the right mix of guys to be able to win a national championship this year, and not only being able to recruit those players, but also to be able to develop them as they spend their time here on campus and really form that team chemistry. It takes a lot to be a national championship, an awful lot, and things have to fall into place, and you have to get the right people. It's not easy, but it's something that I look forward to doing.
And you touched on your D1 experience. Recruiting at the D3 level obviously is a much different animal. What's kind of been your approach at Superior to picking out the right kids for your school?
Well, I think number one, you got to work and you got to get after it in recruiting. It's an extremely competitive business when you look at the recruiting side. Everybody's out there trying to find players. I think one of the biggest things you have to do is get out there and look for those players. And again, you want to try to find players that fit your system, that fit your school. If you're able to do that, I think you can have a lot of success. If you don't find those players, but you find other players, you have to be able to develop those players and find a way to make things work with the guys that you have.
To you, what makes this job so alluring?
I love my job at Superior. I've had made a lot of good friends there, and I have a tremendous group of players that I get opportunity to coach. This is home to me. Like I said before, my wife and I have spent most of our adult life here. We got a chance to go to school here, both of us. We got a lot of friends, a lot of people that we have good relationships with in the area. We got a lot of family from this area, and that's one of the big things that draws me to this job.
How much more do you think you grew as a coach from your first to second year of coaching, having a head job at Superior?
I think I've grown tremendously. It's very hard to learn how to be a head coach without being a head coach. And the fact that I've been able to take a year and really learn about myself as a coach and learn about my team and then be able to carry that forward to a second year, the experiences that I have is invaluable. I mean, you just can't understand what it's like to be a head coach unless you're actually a head coach. And I've learned a lot about my philosophy and some of the things that I thought might have worked my first year that I've completely came full circle and said, you know what, that stuff just doesn't work. And I've been fortunate to have the guys that have been able to respond to my coaching and work with me along the way as I've continued to grow as a basketball coach.
Your teams at Superior maybe have exceeded people's expectations, people from the outside. What do you attribute that to?
I just think we have great kids. I mean, those guys come to work every single day in practice. They want to do well. They have a great team chemistry. Those guys get along so well, and I think that's a really, really important part of any team is you got to have guys that want to look out for each other and serve each other, and we've really had the opportunity to have kids like that.
Is that something you look for when you're recruiting students? I mean, obviously you're looking for guys that have the physical skills, but are you trying to look at some of those other aspects of what kind of people they are, what kind of teammates they are?
Yeah, I think you can learn a lot by watching a young man play the game of basketball, how he carries himself, how he reacts to his teammates, how he responds to his coaches, how he looks at officials, how he responds to bad calls. I mean, those are things that I like to look for when I do recruiting, because I think that says a lot about the young man's character. And we want to bring guys in that have a high character, because I think those guys you can win with.
How much do you use the history here as a sell if you're recruiting for a new player?
I think it can be talked about, but I don't think it's something that you can completely sell a program on, because a lot of these kids, although there is a great tradition here, a lot of them weren't born when things were really rolling here. And it doesn't mean that much to them, unfortunately. These kids, they have other things to worry about in their lives. They're not worried about what happened back in the 70s, back in the early 80s at UW-Eau Claire. I think what we need to sell is what they're going to be experiencing when they come here. the program now, the coaches now, their teammates that they're going to be playing with, the education that they're going to get when they're here on campus. Because the bottom line is the academics is the most important thing when they're here on campus. We want them to get degrees. We want them to get degrees that they're going to be able to use to help them be successful in their life.
Can that be a positive, the academic standards? I mean, in terms of recruiting kids and also to you know, from a coaching standpoint, you know you're dealing with kids that are intelligent and hopefully motivated.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think the fact that I think I looked at the average ACT of the incoming freshman class last year. I think it was a 24 plus. I think those are opportunities to get high quality student athletes. And again, like I said before, I think the academics is the most important piece. They're coming here to get an education. Basketball is a piece of that. But by having those high academic standards, I think we have the opportunity to get very, very good students who are going to be athletes on our campus.
Yeah, I think that's it.
You guys sure?
What's your one last question? What would be your goal if you were to get the job here? What do you think some realistic goals for this program are? Whether it's wins, whether it's championships, whether it's just a style of play, whether it's back in the gym. What are some of those things for you?
I think number one, I want to make this program competitive on a consistent basis. I think that's really, really important. Pack in the gym would be great. I know, like I said before, the community, I think, is really ready to support a program that goes out every single night and competes. And if we can get that done, that would be great. Personally, I want to be here for a long, long time, and I want to see some consistency in the program as a coach and just get a chance to take it to the next level, whether that be in terms of how many wins that we have or just the fact that we can be competitive on a night in and night out basis.
So personally, this would be a move the family would look at as a positive too, than everyone involved?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm a graduate from here. My wife's a graduate from here. We got a lot of friends and family in this area. I see this as a destination job. I can't predict the future, but I don't see myself coaching anywhere else in the long term than being here at UW Eau Claire.
Okay.
Good.
You sure? Last time I said it, you had one more.